can start. I'll take whichever one I can use. Glen City Council will please come to order. We'll begin tonight with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Could we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Gassman.
Here.
Seeley.
Here.
McGraw.
Here.
Allison.
Here.
Oder.
Here.
Connell.
Here.
O'Neill.
Here. Thank you. Councilmember Allison.
Your Honor, I move to dispense with the reading of the regular city council meeting and committee of the whole minutes of February 14, 2017, and they be approved as published on February 28, 2017.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Could we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Connell.
Yes.
O'Neill.
Yes.
Gassman.
Yes.
Seeley.
Yes.
McGraw.
Yes.
Allison.
Yes.
Oder.
Yes. Thank you. We have 3 public hearings tonight, so I will convene a public hearing concerning the 2017-2018 fiscal year city operating budget. Have we heard anything in the clerk's office?
We have not, Your Honor.
Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to address this public hearing? Hearing none, Councilmember Connell.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move that the public hearing concerning the 2017-2018 fiscal year city operating budget be entered into the record.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, could we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Gassman.
Yes.
Seeley.
Yes.
McGraw.
Yes.
Allison.
Yes.
Oder.
Yes.
Connell.
Yes.
O'Neill.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Connell.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a resolution approving the 2017-2018 fiscal year city operating budget. I move this resolution be adopted as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Councilmember O'Neill.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd just like to take a second to thank the staff for their input into putting this together, and especially to Anita for getting this done in a timely manner. I think we did it in our least amount of meetings we've done it, and it's probably one of the better budgets we've ever come up with. So thank you to you and your staff and to all the department heads for their work on putting this budget together. It's one I'm proud of is being a council member, so thank you.
Any other comments? I'll just make one quick comment, as I always like to be proud of the fact that this is, I believe, the 3rd year in a row that we have lowered our tax levy. This year it'll be at $15.63 as opposed to last year's $15.88. No layoffs. We actually are adding 2 police officers and a nuisance inspector, and I think there's someone else that's a part-time position that we're adding.
BNS.
So, you know, when you look at the communities around us that are still trying to figure out how to balance their budgets and who they're going to lay off or what services they're going to cut, I think we should be very proud of the fact that we've actually been able to be efficient and reduce our tax asking and not cut any services and actually improve the community. So with that, I would entertain the roll call, please.
Councilmember Gassman.
Yes.
Seeley.
Yes.
McGraw.
Yes.
Allison.
Yes.
Oder.
Yes.
Connell.
Yes.
O'Neill.
Yes.
Thank you. I will now convene a public hearing concerning the proposed rezoning of 4625 Bellevue Road. Have we heard anything in the clerk's office?
We have not, Your Honor.
Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to address this public hearing? Hearing none, Councilmember Oder.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move that the public hearing concerning the proposed rezoning of 4625 Bellevue Road be entered into the record.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Could we have roll call, please?
Councilmember O'Neill.
Yes.
Gassman.
Yes.
Seeley.
Yes.
McGraw.
Yes.
Allison.
Yes.
Oder.
Yes.
Connell.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Oder.
Thank you, Your Honor. I propose the ordinance amending Chapter
You
159.
moved to consider an ordinance.
Oh,
for the first
excuse me.
time. That's okay.
I move to consider the ordinance for the first time.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Could we have roll call, please?
Councilmember O'Neill.
Yes.
Gassman.
Yes.
Seeley.
Yes.
McGraw.
Yes.
Allison.
Yes.
Oder.
Yes.
Connell.
Yes.
Thank you. Now you can read the title.
All right. An ordinance amending Chapter 159.002 of the ordinances of the City of Clinton, Iowa by changing the zoning classification of a parcel of land located at 4625 Bellevue Road legally described as lots 1, 2, and 3, Eagle Point Estates, Riverview Edition, including 15 acres more or less, rezoned in Chapter 1682 from C2 General Commercial District to R1A, One Family Residential District.
Thank you. I will now convene our third and final public hearing concerning the accepting bid and awarding contract for the Margaret Place Pumping Station. Have we heard anything in the clerk's office?
We have not, Your Honor.
Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to address this public hearing? Hearing none, Councilmember Gassman.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move that the public hearing concerning accepting bid and awarding contract for the Margaret Place Pumping Station be entered into the record.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Could we have roll call, please?
Councilmember McGraw,
yes,
Allison,
Yes.
Odor,
Yes.
Connell,
Yes.
O'Neill,
Yes.
Gassman.
Yes,
Seeley.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Gassman.
thank you, Your Honor. I have a resolution accepting bid and awarding contract for the Margaret Place Pumping Station to Valley Construction Company for $2,590,000. I move that be adopted as read.
Second?
A motion and a second. Is there any discussion or questions?
Could Jason come on up to the front real quick? If you just kind of give us a quick breakdown of the bids and how you thought they came back in comparison to where your original estimates were at.
Yeah, we had estimated it at about $2.2 million all throughout the design really, and as it turns out, as I wrote in a council report, that we only got 4 bids. We were expecting a little more. Probably should have been usually 6 to 8 bids on a project like this. So I'm not quite sure. In discussions with Valley, it was really just a number of things. It's a large project. I mean, it's a good amount of money, but it's a little bit piecemealed. You know, part of it's electrical, part of it's structural, mechanical. There's of course some demolition in a new building that'll go up, just a block building, a roof, and then there's 2 deep sanitary sewer spot repairs, an outfall pipe to the levee, and 1 new pump and a large retaining wall. So it's all these different disciplines, and they're all kind of specialties. There's not a contractor that does one thing. So I think it's more of an economy of scale thing. It's a large, significant project, and I left out the generator. But with all these different disciplines, all having to make a profit, of course, there's going to be a lot of subcontractors down there. I think that's really what drove the bid up above the cost estimate. Other than that, I didn't see anything unreasonable. And this project really, it does 3 things. It increases the pumping capacity to the Margaret Place Pumping Station, which is our largest, no, it's not our largest, but it's our flood control pump station, stormwater pump station that's down by the 5th Street boat ramp. And it currently also handles combined sewer overflows out of Chancey Hill and those sorts of basins that when it overflows, it doesn't go directly into the river, that we're not allowed to do that. So it overflows to the pump stations, pumped out to the river. So that's why it's in the consent decree, because we have to, and then another thing is the backup generator. So if we ever lose power to that flood station and we have a flood, we can't open the gates. We have to have a backup. That's part of the new consent decree as well, is having backup generators at all the pump stations. So it's a lot of money, but we're approaching the deadline, and we don't think that it'll be in anybody's best interest to like rebid the project. I don't expect it would change, and we need to get it done. Oh, and then the third thing, I think there ended up being a lot more than 3, but the 2 spot repairs to the sanitary sewer. One of them at 5th Street and the old 5th Street, just in front of the polymer plant and ADM. And then Old Margaret Place, which is further into ADM. That is right on top of our trunk sanitary or combined sewer, which is a 54-inch diameter sewer. It has the ability to carry a lot of combined sewage to the plant, which is good. We don't want it to back up in the system, except for at these 2 locations, there was previous repairs made. Storm sewers added above the pipe, which caused us to, before my time, but they were running into each other. So they choked instead of a 54-inch round, they went with 2 smaller pipes. And what we found is that one of those always plugs. And so we've reduced our capacity by like half with that Beaver Channel interceptor. It causes a lot of combined sewer overflow upstream at First Avenue and at Margaret Place. So those are the most important parts, and that's probably only $500,000 of the cost is constructing two large structures that'll allow both pipes to go through at their appropriate cross-sectional areas. So, much needed project, and it's not very exciting, but it's expensive. Any more questions on that project?
Thank you, Jason. Any other discussion? Could we have roll call then, please?
Councilmember McGraw,
Yes.
Allison,
Yes.
Odor,
Yes.
Connell,
Yes.
O'Neill,
Yes.
Castman,
Yes.
Seeley.
Yes.
Thank you. That concludes our public hearings for tonight. We'll move into audience comment. I have one person that wishes to address the council tonight, Sandy Bartles of Midwest Pets for Life.
Hi, guys. I remember some of you, I don't know you all anymore. I'm Sandy Bartles. I'm with a 501c3 nonprofit called Midwest Pets for Life. And back in 2013, we created for the Humane Society an event called Mutts on the Mississippi. And it was an event that went over the Highway 136 bridge. And at that point in time, it was a run walk. And so they did do it the year after we left the shelter, but they haven't done it since then. And so we know that we can't really do that event, but we've come up with a new event and a little bit different take on the whole thing. And so we're going to call it the Muddy Mississippi Mutt March. And it will be more, we're going to call it a march. You guys may call it a parade. It's going to involve walking units, motorized units, floats of all sizes. We're hoping some bands. We want it to start at Main Avenue and 2nd Street. It will go down 2nd Street, the 5 blocks to the 19th Avenue North, Highway 136 bridge. It will go across the bridge, and it will end this year in Fulton. And the reason for that is the first year that we did it, we started in Fulton and ended over here. And we had promised Fulton that we would alternate. One year it would end here, next year it would end in Fulton, back and forth. So everybody would reap a little bit of the whatever income it brings in. So this year it will end over there. They're really on board. We're going to pair up with their fall festival on September 30th, and they're actually calling their fall festival that doggone fall festival. So, I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun. We've actually contacted Guinness to see if we can set up a new category for a record, and that will be the most dogs crossing a major highway bridge over a river at one time. And we have told Guinness that we will have 1,000 dogs. So we do think it's going to be a big event. It will be a fun event. We want to, the night before the event, have a meet and greet here where people will pick up their packet pickup, have hors d'oeuvres, a kind of a get to know everybody the night before. So that will help Clinton. And that's where we're at. So I've provided, Pat's got a packet of stuff that I brought tonight. In it there is a copy of the application for a special event that we turned into the Parks and Recreation Department. So that's working its way through the system. We've actually talked with the insurance group, and in that packet are also all of the additional insureds, which will include the City of Clinton, the City of Fulton, the Iowa, and the Illinois DOT. There's also something in there that maybe will help from back in 2013, which was the resolution that you guys came up with to submit to the DOT to ask permission to close the bridge. And then there's also our executive proposal in that packet. So if there's anything else that you need ahead of time, my business card and our pamphlet is in there as well. I can't think of anything else that you might need to know about the event, but I look for it to bring people from all over. We'll be putting out a press release here sometime soon, once we know that Clinton's on board. I guess I don't have anything else. Any questions?
Well, we can't have questions and
Okay.
answers during audience
Okay,
comment, 'cause
that's
it's
perfect.
not on our agenda, but
Sure.
we will definitely look at what you've given us.
That'd be great. Super. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience that wishes to address the council tonight? Hearing none, we will move on to the consent agenda. Councilmember Allison.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented on the attachment.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Councilmember O'Neill.
Pull number 5, please.
Anyone else? Okay, could we have a roll call vote on the balance of the consent agenda, please?
Councilmember Connell,
Yes.
O'Neill,
Yes?
Gassman.
Yes.
Seeley.
Yes.
McGraw,
Yes.
Allison,
Yes.
Odor.
Yes.
Thank you. We'll move to motions, resolutions, and ordinances. Councilmember Gassman.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move that the claims be received, approved, and placed on file.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Could we have roll call then, please?
Councilmember McGraw,
Yes.
Allison,
Yes.
Odor,
Yes.
Connell,
Abstain.
O'Neill,
Yes.
Gassman.
Yes.
Seeley.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember O'Neill.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a resolution directing the sale of $4,110,000, subject to adjustment per the terms of the offering. General obligation capital loan notes, Series 2017A. And there's a subnote in there about a completed resolution. I move this resolution be adopted as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. And who's going to come up and going to tell us about how good we did or how bad we did on this sale?
Have some discussion on it.
Suzanne Gerlach with Public PFM Financial Advisors. Excuse me, we just recently changed our name. I'm getting used to it rolling off the tongue. I am the new Jenny Blankenship. Jenny Blankenship is no longer with PFM as of December, and so I am now your primary contact for all financial advisory needs. And today is my first opportunity to come before you with good news about the bond sale results. I believe Anita had passed out the tabulation of bids just before the meeting tonight. So we went out and received 5 different bids from over 39 different firms around the nation. TIC's true interest cost ranges from 2.91% to 3.03%. We look at how kind of close the top and the best bidder and the worst bidder is, and the closer those numbers are together, that means that there was strong demand today in the market for the city's bonds. We did seek a rating on the bonds. Moody's Investor Service has affirmed the city's A2 rating. There's no change there. And the winning bid came from Robert W. Baird that had 29 different firms in syndicate with it. So I think the benefit of the demand created that's a large syndicate that are going together to buy the city's bonds today. Pricing was excellent, 42 basis points over MMD. When we look at pricing, we look at the AAA index, which is the highest credit rating that can be had by a municipal entity. And the municipal market looks at what they call the MMD AAA index to look at what is the kind of the optimal pricing scale for the best possible scale. Even a AAA is not necessarily going to price as the scale. But today, on average, 42 basis points over, which is strong for the pricing, ranging from 20 basis points to 65 basis points over that scale, which is what we would expect for the A2 rating of the city. These bonds will be paid by the local option sales tax of the city, so there's no impact to taxpayers based on these bonds, and these are in support of sewer projects based on the consent decree. So any questions?
Well, for the public that's listening at home,
Yes.
the question would be, what's the effective rate that we're actually paying for what, if you were to look at it, just for the people at home can understand?
Sure. So the municipal bonds are priced by annual maturity over the life of the bonds. So each different year is going to be a serial that's going to get a different interest rate. Interest rates ranging, and these are priced. These bonds are over 15 years,
Okay.
with the early years being 2% and the last year being 3.25%. So there's a range with what we call a true interest cost overall of 2.9%,
Okay.
2.91%.
Okay.
So combined interest, total cost, less than 3% for the $4 million over 15 years.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Yeah. Councilmember O'Neill?
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Your Honor. I had, I guess, one concern on, actually 2 questions, but one concern. Every one of the other biddings has the net interest rate and the true interest rate, except for Stifel and Nicholas. But I guess it's my understanding that the actual overall purchase price of the bonds is correlated to what we're actually paying back out, and their outright purchase price is less than what Robert Baird's is, so I guess I need a clarification on that.
Okay, so the net interest cost, looks like the tab in this file isn't quite right. If you look at the 2031 maturity for Stifel Nicholas, the true interest rate is actually 3.03. It's kind of tabbed over there. It didn't get over where it should be.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
You see the, like, if
Yeah.
you go down the 2031 maturity, and then it says 231, 3.03, that's the true interest cost, is 3.03%. Now, the purchase price is not what you're paying back. That's what they're giving you for the price of your bond. So it's gonna be less underwriter's discount, and it's gonna include any premium or discount.
Okay.
So when we recommend an award, the lowest bidder is based on TIC. Okay, and TIC takes into account the range, and so, this is gonna get into some stuff. So coupon rate is the coupon you're paying interest on, but premium or discount is based on the yields that were provided, with the pricing that are not on this sheet. So the TIC is gonna take into account any premium or discount that was offered for each annual maturity to get to the lowest overall interest rate, which is what we're recommending, which is what our official statement said we would recommend our basis for award on, which in this case is Robert W. Baird at 2.91%.
So very little difference in the true interest rate.
Very little difference, right?
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And with that, if there's nothing else, we'll entertain a roll call, please.
Councilmember Seeley,
Yes.
McGraw,
Yes.
Allison,
Yes.
Odor,
Yes.
Connell,
Yes.
O'Neill,
Yes.
Gasman.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember McGraw.
Thank you, Your Honor. As soon as I find the page here. I have a resolution approving the Eagle Point Park Waterfall Renovation Project. I move that the resolution be adopted as presented.
Second?
Your motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? Could we have roll call then, please?
Councilmember Odor,
Yes.
Connell,
Yes.
O'Neill,
Yes.
Gasman, Seeley,
Yes.
McGraw,
Yes.
Allison.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Seeley.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a resolution approving memorandum of understanding between the City of Clinton, Iowa and the City of Comanche, Iowa for the use of the youth ball fields in Platt Park in the City of Comanche. I move this resolution be adopted as presented.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Could we have roll call then, please?
Councilmember Allison,
Yes.
Odor,
Yes.
Connell,
Yes.
O'Neill,
Yes.
Gasman,
Yes.
Seeley,
Yes.
McGraw.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Odor.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a resolution authorizing the creation of a request for proposals for recycling and collection services, and I move that it be adopted as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Councilmember Seeley.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just have a quick question. Did this come out of recommendation from the study we recently started, or
This is what was requested to be done.
this was?
Right. This is
Out of
the,
that?
Yes.
Okay.
It's just taken a while for it to get to the agenda here, but
Okay.
it came out of the committee of the whole
Way too
Wow.
several, it was back the first part of February.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Right.
missed the
Okay.
last council meeting to be on the agenda.
Time flies,
Yeah,
doesn't it? Okay.
Yeah, February flew by on us.
Especially when you have this much fun.
Yeah. All right, I'm good to go then.
Okay. If there's nothing else, we'll enter, roll call, please. Oh,
Ca-
Paul,
No,
okay.
thank you.
Councilmember O'Neill,
Yes.
Gasman,
Yes.
Seeley,
Yes.
McGraw,
Yes.
Allison,
Yes.
Odor,
Yes.
Connell.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Connell.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a resolution approving agricultural land lease with John Thomas. I move the resolution be adopted as presented.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Could we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Gasman,
Yes.
Seeley,
Yes.
McGraw,
Yes.
Allison,
Yes.
Odor,
Yes.
Connell,
Yes.
O'Neill.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember O'Neill.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a resolution approving the First Amendment to lease agreement and license agreement relative to the communications tower at Emma Young Park. I move this resolution be adopted as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Councilmember O'Neill.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd just like to thank Dick Trad for getting all this put together and digging out of the archives, blowing the dust off of some of the things we've had here and putting us back on the right track. I think we just assumed a lot of times you just take what they offer you, and he did some digging and did some clarification. So thank you for your work on it, and hopefully we'll be a little more prudent before we go approving tower things in the future. So thank you.
Anyone else? Could we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Seeley,
Yes.
McGraw,
Yes.
Allison,
Yes.
Odor,
Yes.
Connell,
Yes.
O'Neill,
Yes.
Gassman.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Gassman.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a resolution approving agreement for use of Eagle Point Park Drives and Lodge for winter light display. I move it be adopted as read.
Second?
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Could we have roll call then, please?
Councilmember McGraw,
Yes.
Allison,
Yes.
Odor,
Yes.
Connell,
Yes.
O'Neill,
Yes.
Gassman.
Yes.
Seeley.
Yes.
Thank you. That concludes our motions, resolutions, and ordinances for tonight, so we'll move on to unfinished business. We have one item, number 5, Councilmember O'Neill.
Thank you, Your Honor. If you'd be kind enough to turn back to that to actually see it. This resolution is coming back forward after the council already made a final improvement to this company in the amount of $22,803. At that point, they just turned around and sent it back and said it's not enough. That was passed by the council on a resolution 215-420. This is a company that did not adhere to the contract, did not finish the project on time. Jason was very diligent in looking over, and we did hold some retainage and some other things, and it was his opinion that the final payment in the sum of $34,000. As a result, there was a failure to complete the project by a specific date, and resulting in the approval of final payment of that $23,800 that they just sent back. We are now in the process of acquiescing to that and sending taxpayers dollars, and I don't know what the amount is, $34,000. I just find it very uncomfortable to make a decision at one point based on the engineer's assessment of the project. I don't think there was any question that the work was of good quality. There was a question that they did not follow the contract, and that's why we have contracts. There's several people sitting here that work with contracts and are under the gun to do contracts every single week. And we especially are in that same situation. The added weight of that is that we're spending the taxpayers' money. So I don't think on a whim, because someone sends a check back for $22,000 for not completing a job the way they should, and then insist on $34,000, I'm not gonna be in favor of this now or in the future. And I'm getting very set against doing a lot of job order changes. This has become almost epidemic. The job order changes come in left and right after people get the contract. Now, I'm no engineer and I'm no construction guy, but I'm smart enough to figure out that if you bid a contract low enough and then turn around and come in with a job order change, that you wind up, before you even put a shovel in the ground, at higher than the other bidders. It's not my way of doing business. That's about as much as I'll say. So I'm going to vote against this. I encourage you also to do the same and have this company just live with the inevitable. If you don't do the terms of the contract as presented, then you don't get paid what you're promised. It's that simple. Thank you.
Pat, would you like to comment to that?
Well, it's a value judgment I think the council has to make. I think the analysis was that we're money ahead. We are assessing liquidated damages that we didn't have before, so whatever the council votes for, we're gonna be money ahead. It's not that we were disgorging public money. We're actually obtaining more under the contract than we contracted for because they were late. And I think it was a calculation based on the notion that we don't know what an arbitrator would do, and we would have significant costs to litigate the arbitration. You know, it could be 5 figures or more by the time it's all said and done, by the time we all sit down against their attorneys and put on evidence and try to prove what our liquidated damages ought to be. I mean, we might get a bigger number, no question about it. Then again, the arbitrator may not be impressed and might give us a lower number, and if we do, we're still out the attorney fees, and there's really not a good way to recover those. And I think I mentioned before that it may be wise that we look at our contracts in the future and make sure that we have a method of recovery in these types of contracts. But since we don't have it here, that was the rationale, but I agree with Councilmember O'Neill. It's obviously a value judgment for the council as to, you know, whether you want to do that. I think there's a settlement, there's a deal. If the council wants it, it'll be a done deal if you vote for this tonight. If you don't, we're gonna be back to the drawing board and have to, you know, go negotiate with them about what they would take in lieu of what we've agreed in the resolution here, so.
Any other comments? Councilmember Connell?
I mean, I do agree with Councilman O'Neill on this, to a certain extent. When you're dealing with liquidated damages on construction projects, they're there, everybody plans for them, in bidding the projects. To the flip side, it comes down to record keeping, and the construction contractors are gonna keep those records pretty well. And I don't know if, you know, none of that's been presented, but it's also on us as a city to keep those records too. And I don't know, I haven't really talked to Jason about that, but we have to have some pretty good evidence to defute that in, you know, in court. So we are getting some out of this. I think in the future we can reassess where we have our record keeping on liquidated damages, especially once you've passed that date. At this point, I think we may be money ahead to go ahead and accept that, but I don't like the notion of having to, you know, to go back and, you know, take money back off the table that was rightfully owed, so.
Any other comments? Councilmember O'Neill?
Well, you know, again, you know, we've said a million times we should watch our contracts and be a little bit more stiff on this, and we don't do it. And I think we set precedents and we become an easy target. We've already made the decision with Resolution 2015-420. We made the decision on the recommendation to give them $22,803. And now, because they sent the check back and everyone thinks they're mad, we're gonna fork over another $11,197 of the taxpayers' money. Personally, I can buy the arbitrators a lot of lunches for $11,000, so I think we need to go back and do our due diligence with the taxpayers' money. It's real easy to sit up here on a Tuesday night and throw out 11 grand of their money and say, well, we tried, and I'm just not, I think we need to come to a reasonable conclusion of just falling over every time someone barks. So that's where I'm at. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, we do need a motion to approve it so we can vote on it. Is there any-
I'll move the resolution be declined.
Okay, that's a negative resolution, so we'll have to explain how to, well, let's see if there's a second to that
I'll
first.
second.
Okay, now we have to explain how to vote on it. Since he's motioning to decline this, a yes vote will decline the resolution, a no vote would accept the resolution. So it's exactly opposite of how we would normally vote on something. Is everybody clear in how we're voting? Okay. Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Gassman?
Yes.
Seeley?
No.
McGraw?
No.
Allison?
No.
Oder?
No.
Connell?
No.
O'Neill?
Yes.
Okay. The resolution fails, so the amount will be paid.
But do we have to vote to approve it though now?
I think you do.
Yeah, I think,
You did by not declining,
okay.
or
Well,
Pat, am I correct? Because we, it's,
You know, the answer was no on a 5-2, meaning, I mean, he moved that it be declined, and everybody else, 5 members of the council said we're not declining it. We really don't have a motion before it to approve it, so
Okay,
really
so-
somebody should make a
okay.
motion to approve it.
Is
And,
there,
and we're not actually paying the money, we're gonna receive the
Receive it,
money. I just wanted to
Yes.
put that on the
okay.
record.
Would someone like to make the motion then to approve it?
I'll make the motion to approve it.
Is there a
Second.
There's a motion and a second. So in this case, it's a yes approves it and a no does not approve it.
okay.
Could we have roll call again, please?
Councilmember Gassman?
No.
Seeley?
Yes.
McGraw?
Yes.
Allison?
Yes.
Oder?
Yes.
Connell?
Yes.
O'Neill?
No.
Okay. Now it passed. Okay, that concludes our unfinished business for tonight. Councilmember Allison.
Your Honor, I move to adjourn to 7 PM, March 14th, 2017.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Could we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Connell?
Yes.
O'Neill?
Yes.
Gasman.
Yes.
Seeley.
Yes.
McGraw.
Yes.
Allison.
Yes.
Odor.
Yes.
Thank you. We are adjourned, and we'll move immediately into the Clinton City Council Committee of the Whole for February 28th, and we'll begin with roll call whenever Pat is ready.
Councilmember Gasman.
Here.
Seeley.
Here.
McGraw.
Here.
Allison.
Here.
Odor.
Here.
Connell.
Here.
O'Neill.
Here.
Thank you. And our first item tonight is the 14th Avenue Northwest extension to the middle school. And is Jason leading this off? Jason?
Jason, do you need the overhead? Okay.
He knows this, he knows this one by heart.
Not really. Much. Here to discuss the 14th Avenue Northwest project. Not that it will be a project, that would be presumptuous, but I would say that, that it has started and that we've talked about it for a couple of years. We've done the background work, surveying. It was a project that was brought before the Capital Improvement Committee and the City Council last budget year to begin surveying and potentially right-of-way acquisition, which that is actually this fiscal year. That is still on the table for this and budgeted for this fiscal year, has not begun yet because we don't have precise council authority to do that. So just for informational purposes, for those of you who may not be totally aware of the project, this urban renewal area is Clinton Business and Technology Park Urban Renewal Area, and it includes area from 13th Avenue to Main Avenue between 11th Street Northwest and 16th Street Northwest. That other pink thing in there, that is the Katie's Holding TIF district, which is in that renewal area. So the green is where we're talking. We've used some of these, we've had the ability to use this TIF process to construct the extension of 19th Avenue Northwest a couple of years ago, and some of the other roads up in that business park. And to my knowledge, there hasn't been anything else. At one time, we talked about a 13th Avenue North sidewalk, which on the north side of 13th would be also in the district. So this 14th Avenue cuts right through this area. So the school district is sort of, if I can, sort of, the need for this road wasn't there such that it is today, since the school district located their middle school right there, and they constructed this private drive, which the council did not accept at the time, and dead-ended it at their parking lot. That is their entrance before school and after school, and it's used as the entrance and exit for all other times of the day. And then on the east end of this extension would be the Village Co-op and the Westview Townhomes. So incrementally, Village Co-op 4 years ago constructed 14th Avenue Northwest to this location, and then the West Townhomes extended it another 100 feet to make a second access to the parking lot. So there does exist a 1,200-foot gap now between what would be 14th Street, the extension of 14th Street, and the end of 14th Avenue Northwest. So this was presented at some time a couple of years ago, but to get everyone up to speed, we've begun right-of-way survey this earlier, I think it was last fall actually, so it was earlier this fiscal year. This is just a topo map. I should have condensed it down a little bit, but it doesn't show a lot other than proposed right-of-ways and proposed easements, which are the horizontal lines on that map. And so that's what's been done so far. Acquisition of the property would be roughly $50,000. The council needs to decide whether that's still a priority. We could use TIF funds for that, urban renewal area, like I said. After that, you could still construct the street, including sidewalks, for $450,000. There is the issue of connection of the middle school road, which would also have to be done. This would have to be extended another 250 feet to properly match up with the 14th Avenue Northwest Road. So that can be included as part of the project as well. And then what I would recommend also be done at the same time, if the council were to pursue this, would be construction of a sanitary sewer along the road right of way that would eventually connect to the sewer that the school constructed. The school constructed a sewer as part of their project. They decided to go with all gravity sewer down to the Mill Creek sewer, and it terminates on their property. But they are, and they should be in the process of dedicating that sewer to the city. They don't want to maintain it. That was built to city specs. They spent a lot of money on that sewer. And yeah, it will be a city sewer someday. It's properly sized for future development, and so it would be, if we are going to do the street, at that time we should do the sewer in order to save a lot of money on mobilization and just economies of scale sort of thing. If you get more, if you have to mobilize another contractor out there to do the sanitary sewer at a later date, it's going to cost, could be double, and that'd also be, it would be unusual to construct the sanitary sewer completely after the roadway is complete and the site's developed. So those are the options, and we just wanted to bring this forth so we could discuss it and not be in a state of limbo. And I think Matt probably has other things to say and can answer most of your questions. I'll be up here as well. But just to get some direction on the issue, like I said, we could use TIF dollars for it this fiscal year, and construction prices for roads and sewers such as this are going to be pretty good at this time. So it could always inflate. Questions?
Jason, have we had a discussion with the school about this?
I have not, but that's been discussed before at these types of council meetings. It wasn't for me to do anyway.
Thank you.
Have you talked to the landowners at all?
No, I didn't want to really reach out to the landowners and be presumptuous that we were going to construct a road and buy the property as if I wasn't directed to do so, and start that whole discussion. You know, I'd be glad to, if that's what you want me to do. But we would first have to get an appraisal for this size of property and this sort of development ground. The first thing that we would do would be to submit this plat to an appraiser who would appraise the property and get some values back to us.
And really, we're waiting on the trigger for if you all felt that we should move forward, we'd then re-engage. And I think this would be the third time the school, and we're 0 for 2 in the past as far as following through on this road. But really what we look at is the road of the sewer leads to the road. So really the means to the end, which would actually help out this whole area, is tying in the sewer and then adding that road in there, which is, as Jason, just to reiterate, as using TIF dollars. But we would need to start that conversation with the school to see if they're willing to sit down with us and have that.
Councilmember O'Neill?
Thank you, Ron. Jason, if we fill in this other 250 feet, that's, I guess the presumption is that they're going to dedicate their roadway, which is built like a street, to the city, and we're going to accept it, which we didn't do before. I'm not judging whether that was a good call or a bad call, but for my purposes right now, if they would do that, most certainly would accept it. But I think I was under the impression the first time that 14th Avenue Northwest was proposed, that it ran perpendicular to the road that already existed, not this extension. Is that changed, or was I just didn't understand it correctly?
Oh, no, I mean, that has definitely not changed, the lay of the land.
Okay.
But I'd have to go back and look at some of the preliminary plats that they introduced at the time. I believe their proposal was, and I could be wrong, but I believe their proposal was to dedicate this amount of right-of-way, but only build the street necessary for their purpose.
Okay.
And yeah, and as Matt pointed out, the school district has a lot to do with this. I mean, safety of the children that may be walking from those subdivisions to this side of the street, busing, access to the school district, it all plays into this, as well as development. you know, just thoughtful connectivity between roads is always a good thing in a,
With that point in
City.
mind, the safety of the walking, another project, I guess, that's been in contention before, and at that point, wasn't in favor of it, but building this road with the sidewalks would probably eliminate any need for a sidewalk on the north side of 13th Avenue North. Is that correct?
well, I couldn't say one way or the other, but I
Well, the
certainly
need
don't.
for it was to get the children to be able to walk to school from the Fairway subdivision. And so with this in place, that would accomplish that also.
Does your bid estimates include sidewalks
Yeah.
now? You said before it didn't.
Right, I was, and both statements were true. I certainly, you know.
You should be a politician, you know that? They're both true.
So
and you're right.
because you were questioning the $400,000 estimate before, and it's 450 now, you know, because the sidewalks are in there, and I think it's a good thing. I think it would be foolish to, I don't know what's gonna happen with development, and you could choose to not construct the sidewalks, and that's been done before, but that's usually in a subdivision setting, a residential cul-de-sac area, something that nobody drives or walks or is near. And there's all this bustling environment up here. It seems like sidewalks might be utilized in this case. So I think if you
What was that phrase you used today? Multi-modular?
multimodal, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's a Chandra Ravada phrase.
Yeah, it is.
Multimodal use of the right of way would be crucial.
Okay, Jason, I have a question about the sidewalk. You're putting a sidewalk in a totally undeveloped area, which we've usually put on the burden of a developer to put the sidewalk in. So now we're starting a precedent, they're gonna build sidewalks. Who's gonna maintain those sidewalks? Because that's agricultural land, you're gonna have those people that are farming it, they're not gonna maintain those sidewalks.
No, they're exempt, but we do, the precedent's already been set, Liberty Square, 19th Avenue North, 19th Avenue Northwest, roads that are constructed by cities that are not purely like a residential development. I believe it is worthy to construct the sidewalks if they're gonna be utilized, so, but I'm not here to argue that, I mean,
No,
it could be
I'm just-
either way, really.
But I guess, since we're building this road, I guess, and I have never heard it, what is our vision for that area as far as any type of development? What's gonna go there?
I'm just an engineer, I don't know that.
Well, I guess,
I would venture to guess, Your Honor, knowing some of my colleagues in the business, that as soon as that street and sidewalks in there, we'll be building houses.
and then if
What's
they-
it zoned at?
Well, let's back up a little bit. There's multiple zonings.
Yeah, there's
and-
multiple zoning,
Right.
that's an issue.
Right.
And I guess my concern is, if you say that there's developers that would be jumping on it, then the developers would be able to contribute to the cost of building the road, as we would in any case, the developer would put his road in. Same as the Village Co-op bought the road, same as the Westview Heights Apartments bought the road, but yet then, they paid for it, but yet we're gonna finish it, so and I have one other point, then I'm gonna be quiet, is
No.
this is taking money away from the Lions Tech Park, 'cause it's the same TIF dollars that for the last 3 years, they haven't been able to get an agreement with the city to use anything for development out there. And the tech park has been creating jobs for this area. It actually has generated the dollars that you're spending, and they're coming, I believe, at the end of March or in April to make a presentation, because they do wanna have, there's only 7 years left of the TIF, and they wanna make a presentation because they have some ideas of things that they wanna do, so, you know, but I'm not sure we've got any dollars left when you build this road, so it's,
Well, and it's a good point, but I think, you know, with that, we're gonna build I think we're gonna be obligated to build a sidewalk one way or another. We've been able to push it off, and I was probably one of the main thrusters of doing it, but the fact of the matter of that area, Fairway subdivision, or whatever you wanna call it, they're either gonna cross the street at 11th, come back down 13th and cross the 13th again, or this will resolve or solve, I think, a lot of issues, and will probably put a very comfortable bandage on and probably a lot of wounds, that this will create a way of getting rid of a lot of the traffic congestion at the middle school, because it will develop a loop to get in and out, provide a sidewalk, and I'm just really reasonably sure you're gonna have some houses there, so, I think it's a good plan. I think we need to get back with our other entity, the school board, and patch this thing back together and, get that, first thing is get that road dedicated, because that's not our road yet, so we did this without that, we would be fairly foolish, so I think we need that rededication. I know you've tried, in the
After
past.
It was done last year, and then the city turned it down again.
I understand, and I take some of the responsibility for that, but I think we're at a juncture now where, cooperation between entities is probably much healthier and easier than just being right for being right. And so I would support taking that dedication, and I'd support even putting in the other 250 feet. I think it's good for the school district, good for the families and the children that live over there, and we're gonna get away with not putting a sidewalk down 13th on the north side.
Councilmember Conley?
Jason, if this didn't go forward, where would this money be used? Do you have another project that this would be?
No, like I said, it's in the TIF district, so it could be used in the Lions Tech Park, anywhere in that green rectangle.
Okay.
There's no set aside sales tax, road use tax funds for this project, so.
I mean, the history behind the whole
Really?
sidewalks was, with the new school being built, I think Councilwoman McGraw had said over the years, why don't we have a sidewalk up on 13th? And that's kind of been a contentious issue, I guess, but if you're saying it's gonna cost $50,000 for 1,200 foot of sidewalk, why don't we just take the 50,000 and put it on the north side of 13th? And, when the planning and zoning gets redeveloped up here, when we know if it's gonna be changed from, I don't know what it is now, to residential, and we have some development spurred there, we have a project ready for that. Seems to me like it would be a wise use of that money.
Yeah, that's
For future tie-in.
That's a TIF, I think it's a TIF eligible, and it's probably 150 if you put it down on 13th due to all the,
And then we're
topography,
still
grading,
accomplishing
driveway.
safety for the children that need to walk to school that way.
why not?
I'm trying to figure out what the road's for. If it's because we need a sidewalk, if it's because we need development. There's so many things going on here. Connect the sewer.
Business
I
park.
think what this boils down to is we've got a road here. We don't know what the school exactly needs. Has the school contacted the city and said we need another road?
No.
Okay. And then we got the TIF district. We've got TIF money. How much money's in the TIF fund right now? Does anybody know?
That's a,
We need to know.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many moving parts, and then we've got this whole TIF district and this whole area that could be developed, and all we have here is a road and no plan. And I'm not ready for it. I think we need to be working with the Lions Tech Park, with the other businesses in the area, with the zoning board, with the school, and we need to be getting a plan together and figuring this out and doing it right, not doing it just throwing a road in because we think we need the road there. That's my 2 cents. So I'm not ready. I don't think it's a bad idea, but I think everybody needs to be on the same page and on board, and there needs to be, and I said this to Matt, and we need to plan ahead. We need to think ahead. There's more to this than just one road.
And we're with you, and we thank you, Jason. This was asked for you guys, for us to bring this forward to you, so.
Yeah,
just
yeah.
make sure you're clear, not shooting
By all
Jason.
means, it's
not
nothing derogatory
I was
towards
just-
Jason at all. Absolutely not.
I think it was very
yeah.
well put together, and I think
Yep.
there is some value, though, to still look at this, even if we look at the whole plan. But once again, we're boxed in for where we can use these dollars. Okay?
Right.
So what we have to look at is, and I'll go back with Jason, is there a course of action B and C that actually is fitting for this? We'll still actually engage the school because we need to get their opinion on this and see if there's maybe something from Lions Business Park that would actually make more sense on utilizing these funds. But remember, at the end of the day, and you guys all know this, but health, welfare, and safety of our citizens. So we thought this would be a big win for right now, because getting the sewage in, getting the tied in, getting the road in, getting the sidewalk for kids to go back and forth. And as Councilman O'Neill mentioned, the loop, because you can come out at a light, and versus just always having to go down right in front of the school. You can actually move down by Pizza Ranch by the light there as well.
Can we
Yeah, I mean-
bring this back? I mean,
Oh.
just after we have a
Sure.
discussion
Oh,
with some of
yeah,
these
definitely.
entities?
Most
Right.
definitely.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, and if the council would so desire, I would be happy to speak to the school district to see if there is an interest in it. But I'm not, I didn't wanna do it until,
Yeah, not the third time.
I'm not going a third time when
No.
there's not enough interest.
Absolutely not. And I think it's, the other key to this is, what's the land out there gonna be used for? We don't have a planning, we don't have a planning or a planning, department anymore.
No.
We're utilizing ECIA for that, and maybe it's some discussion we need to have with them, saying, what's our best use for this
Well-
area? The road is a great idea, and again, nothing to Jason or his department, I think it's a great idea, but what's our plan?
Well, like I said, the Lions Tech people are preparing a presentation that they're gonna, is it March 20th? That they're going to bring to show
Mhm.
you what they envision that still needs to be done in the area. And it includes some roads that need to be
Sure.
built to make some of these areas, developable. So, I think it's an idea of getting all the facts before you make a final decision, but.
Could
it-
we,
well,
Would any of their projects be conducive to this road being
No.
there?
None. It's all further north. But let me just, I'll just ask the council of this. Overall, if the school district were willing to deed the road to us, regardless if we do the road, that extension this year, next year, or 3 years in the future, would the city be open to the dedication of that piece of land to the city? as a road?
Yeah, I think that's the first step, no matter whether we're building a road or not. So I would,
The fact that they originally, the original design of that road was someday there would be an intent to make a connection. And they built it to our specs, located where we wanted it to be with someday. Now, we turned it down, but my question is, would we accept the dedication, even though that maybe today we aren't going to do the road, but knowing in the future that we want to have a road there, is the council willing to accept it in those terms?
Yeah.
Okay, so if no one has an objection, then I will visit with them and see where we are with it.
And I would think it would be prudent to maybe extend the invitation, if the tech park is gonna make a presentation, that we maybe ask them to be here as well, so they can hear the same thing we're hearing right from the horse's mouth, like, hey, this would be our plan. And we're all in the same room.
Yeah, that's fine.
The lack of us having a planning person, it really hurts us. It really is in the long run, and I feel like this needs to have some meetings prior to a council meeting with individuals, and I guess you're gonna be a planner now.
Well, that's one of your subcategories.
Yeah.
Other
I mean,
duties.
get some,
When
yeah.
when you look at your flow chart, we stuck planning in there.
Isn't it other duties as required?
Other duties as required.
Well, the mayor just said we could probably get the conversation started with the road, so.
yeah, that'd be a good place.
Okay, so if there's nothing else on this one, this will come, there's no real action, it will come back.
Yeah.
I think the whole TIF district just needs more conversation. Okay, so we'll move on to the second item, which is the RPA 8 public input meeting. And Matt, are you going to introduce Chandra?
Well, you just did, but
Yes.
Well, hey, and thank you for coming down.
It says Matt.
We saved the best for last,
I
so.
thought I was here for
Thank
the
you very
road.
much. Your Honor, City Council members, City Administrator, and City Attorney, thank you very much for providing us this opportunity. Before I go further, I want to explain who I am. I am Chandra Ravada. I'm the Transportation Director for ECIA. What you talked about planning and zoning, it's part of my area, but I'm more on transportation. I'm roads and bridges guy. So what we do is in Dubuque, Delaware, and Jackson and Clinton counties, the federal money that comes from the DOT and federal highway goes through our office. So in your case, in City of Clinton, the projects we contributed is Liberty Avenue. We had 4 million of funding in that. Then we had 19th Avenue North, where we had 3 million. The next project we are working with the city engineering is the Manufacture Drive, so resurfacing, which will be roughly 2 million. So that's what we do in general. But as you see the trend, most of the projects what we are doing are maintenance projects. But on the other side, I did work with the council and the mayors on the Mill Creek Parkway extension and the future of Mill Creek Parkway extension to US 67. And then we also looked at the riverfront area to see what type of improvements need to be done. And there's a lot of discussion on Mill Creek Parkway. Should we have trail on that? If so, where does the trail go and all that? But to do all that, obviously, funding is a primary issue. And even though the handout I gave, say we have 156 million next 25 years, it looks awesome, but 156 million will just maintain our system. It won't help us to expand our system. The question what I want to ask the council today is, what's the priority other than maintenance of the system that you want us to look into? What we are hearing from Federal Highway with President Trump is there might be some additional dollars coming in on roads and bridges. But the caveat is they want projects that are shovel ready. It means that the right of way is there, the design process is almost there, it's ready for construction. So they don't want to sit on that money. So with that, we need to create a plan for Federal Highway and the DOT every 5 years to show what's our need in our area and what type of projects we need to look into. And there might be some funding programs we can help to look into. So with this, I want to request, I'm requesting input from you to see what's your need for the next 20 to 30 years. Now, any one of you can ask saying, why are we talking about 20 to 30 years when we don't even know what we're doing next 5 years? But a good example is the Liberty Square project. It took 35 years to construct that project. Anything with federal money and anything with the mega scale projects, the planning itself and the right-of-way design will take a lot of time. The easiest part in transportation is construction, because by the time everything is nailed down and all you're doing is construction. So what we are requesting is we want your big picture items and we want to see what your needs are in future so we can start looking into and work with city engineering on that. So please.
Did I read, Chandra, that if we don't come up with a plan, we are ineligible? If something
Yeah,
should come up?
that's a good point. So any project that you're seeking federal money, for example,
Get on the bus.
the good example I will give is making 19th Avenue, Mill Creek Parkway 4-lane. If you want to have 4-lane, the question what the DOT will ask is, where is this coming from? Is this in a federal document, which is our long-range plan? Or is it from city council? If city council is saying, on what basis are we asking? Are we expecting more traffic coming in? If so, where is the traffic coming from? Like as Council Member O'Neill said, if there's development happening, the traffic should go somewhere. So is that traffic coming onto Mill Creek Parkway? That's what they'll be asking all these questions. So when we do the planning process, we should look into all those aspects. So that's what we are looking. So any project that you're seeking federal money, we need to have it in the plan, which can be a trail, a road, a bridge, anything. So I'm here to seek your input today on that. So.
Sounds like a
Chandra.
meeting.
Yeah,
We throw a lot of darts at a
I
board
mean,
here.
I understand it's not easy to just do it. I'm not keeping you under the gun. So you have at least 2 to 3 weeks to have this discussion. So maybe my next council meeting, you can talk to the city administrator, provide an input to us. You can provide a list saying, hey, here is what we want. So, that's fine.
Would this include any kind of project or plan for like bus transportation or
Yes.
Okay, so if some councilmen with wild idea of having a regional transportation authority that would include Fulton and Comanche, is that something that would be under this?
Yeah, so if you want to expand the services, yes, it should be under this. But maintenance of the system, it need not be under this. For example, Clinton MTA got 2 buses from us recently, the brand new buses. Now those are replacement buses, so they don't need to be in the plan. But let's say if Clinton MTA wants to cross the bridge and go into Fulton, this should be in the plan because it came through a recommendation, and that's where the feds will start looking into it.
So we have no restrictions because they're federal dollars of going across. Well,
Well-
in the Quad Cities, it seems like they do it pretty easy. now.
Yeah, the thing is, the restriction will be, you'll be coming under 2 different FTA regions. The Iowa side is in Region 7.
Okay.
The Clinton side will be in Region 5 from Chicago. Both agencies work pretty well. However, when we are crossing the river, the question what they'll ask is, are we providing a supply and demand, or are we doing a fixed route? So those are the kind of things this transit manager should start looking into and work with their council, the Fulton Council. So.
We did ask that not recently, within the last year or two. It was either in our last budget workshop last year about providing services over to Fulton with,
Yeah, we talked
with our
about it at
transport. And
some
I don't know where
point.
if
It never went
Dennis has
anywhere.
pushed that up to you guys or not, but I know
It
that's
never went anywhere other than it was a
Then the-
discussion point.
okay.
So, I was thinking as a thought here to get this off the ground, how about if each council member would, you kind of understand the parameters
Mhm.
of what you're looking for. if you would put them down and maybe within the next week get them to Matt so that we could correlate, because some people are gonna come up with the same things. And let's see what we actually come up with as, you know, each one coming up with their own thoughts to put together, because I can see some people putting down the same, and we can eliminate some of it, and we'll see what then is an actual viable, and then we can have a discussion on it.
But then, do we have to have a full-blown plan? It sounds like we have to have a shovel-ready.
So-
Or a plan that would be shovel-ready.
Well, it's a starting point. We gotta
This
first.
is what we'll be doing. As of now, I mean, under President Obama, when we had the stimulus money, we as an RPA received around 2.7 million for the area. And the Clinton Council used that money on the Liberty Square at that point. Now, under President Trump, we are expecting more because we are hearing a lot saying that the amount will be bigger. When that comes, we'll be asking the city council, where is your shovel-ready project? So we'll give parameters to the city administrator as well as the city engineer saying, your project should meet right-of-way design and ready for bid letting, and it should be in the TIP, Transportation Improvement Program, and you should have everything ready in your final designs. Do you have a project like that? And then most of the time, Jason always comes up with an answer saying, hey, here is our project. Most of the time, when we come into such situations, most of the city councils and the supervisors always pick a resurfacing project because you are within an existing right-of-way and you don't need to disturb anything. All you need is to do a 6-inch overlay or do some utilities changes and so on. But saying that, if you want to do a mega project like Mill Creek Parkway extension into the other areas, that should start now. By the time you are shovel ready, it will take time, at least 2 to 3 years. So if you're looking at projects like that, our advice is start working on those projects right now, at least have the design phase started, because you already have the right-of-way in such projects. Or if you want to do the Mill Creek Parkway 4-lane, you already have the right-of-way. So those are the kind of projects might fly very well, but they should be up in process. They can't be started at that time, so.
Wow.
Okay, so they all have a little homework to do. We'll
Yeah.
start to come up with our ideas, see what we want to pursue.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
coming.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're up to the mayor council updates. Does anyone have anything?
It's just, all, just constant pest with my hand.
Well,
Yeah, I do.
That's
I'll,
60
my,
grand right there.
my radio show on Thursday from 11 to noon, and then Saturday, this coming Saturday, I'll have the open forum from 9:30 to 11 at the Erickson Center, and we can discuss budget or anything else that's been on the council's agenda.
Anyone else? Okay.
Just a gentle reminder, I'm doing the piece for the Parks Master Plan, will be next week, and so I have several of you have already submitted your names. We're trying to get one council member per time frame, which will be at the Eagle Point Lodge next week, and that's for the public too, so they can come out and give their 2 cents for that. Had a really good discussion actually with the Humane Society and Donna May and Police Chief and myself today, which we'll bring forward to the meeting to give you an update. We're also gonna have a little meeting on collective bargaining on the Ask Me piece tomorrow. And just a gentle reminder, the Citizen Police Academy kicking off here shortly on March 2nd. And it'll be groundbreaking, but myself and Andrew Kidda from Comanche will go up on Thursday and be the first folks for the Home Base Iowa piece. So we'll get a little back brief on that, on how that went and everything, and give you an update.
Thank you.
And since there's nothing else, I'll entertain.
to change this to mayor, council, and city administrator.
He might not always have something. But you
Somehow
never.
I doubt it.
With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.